First contact. The observer. The sensor arrays aboard monitoring station Epsilon 7 detected the anomaly first. It appeared at the outer edge of the Andromeda sector, moving at a steady pace toward Alliance space. The station's automated systems flagged it immediately. An unidentified vessel of unknown configuration, with an energy signature unlike anything in the Alliance database. Senior technician Zilva's 6 eyes blinked in rapid succession as she studied the readings. Her pale blue skin prickled with the biological equivalent of what humans would call goosebumps. "Director Kell," she called, her voice steady despite her rising concern. "You should see this." Director Kell lumbered across the monitoring chamber, his massive quadrupedal form casting shadows in the dim light. The Thoraxian administrator had overseen Epsilon 7 for 20 cycles, and very little surprised him anymore. "What have you found, technician?" he rumbled, leaning forward to examine the display. "Unknown vessel, sir. Configuration doesn't match any known species in Alliance space. Energy output is remarkable." Kell's 4 nostrils flared as he processed the information. Trajectory. Heading directly for the Vega Gateway. At current speed, it will reach Alliance territory in approximately 7 rotations. The director straightened to his full 3-meter height. "Send immediate notification to Alliance Command. Priority Alpha. I want all data transmitted continuously." "Yes, Director." "And Zilva," Kell added, his voice lowering, "mark it as a potential first contact scenario." The technician's hand hesitated over the controls. A first contact hadn't occurred in over 300 cycles. The implications were enormous. "Are you certain, sir?" "Look at those energy readings," Kell said, pointing a gnarled digit at the display. "Whatever built that ship is either new to our region of space or has been deliberately hiding from us. Either way, the Council needs to know." Within hours, the notification had reached the highest levels of the Galactic Alliance Council. Emergency sessions were convened across 17 worlds. Military vessels were quietly repositioned, and on the capital world of Harmonium, Commander Vexor of the Diplomatic Corps was summoned from his meditation retreat. Vexor stood before the council chamber, his slender form draped in the formal blue robes of his office. Unlike most Selenians, who preferred the comfort of their water habitats, Vexor had adapted to dry environments through decades of service as an interspecies diplomat. His iridescent scales caught the light as he bowed to the assembled representatives. "You understand the gravity of this assignment," said High Counselor Trev, her holographic form flickering slightly. She was participating from her homeworld several systems away. "I do, High Counselor," Vexor replied, his voice melodious yet formal. "A potential first contact requires the utmost care." "This is more than a typical first contact scenario," interjected Counselor Threm, the Norvelian representative. His crystalline exoskeleton clicked nervously as he shifted in his seat. "The vessel's capabilities suggest a highly advanced civilization, which is precisely why we've selected you, Commander," continued Trev. "Your experience with the Corellian integration gives you unique insights into technologically asymmetric diplomatic situations." Vexor nodded, though he disliked the comparison. The Corellians had been refugees, their technology advanced, but their position desperate. This unknown vessel showed no signs of distress or hesitation. "I've studied the preliminary data," Vexor said. "The ship's energy signature suggests propulsion technology well beyond our current capabilities. The hull composition is also remarkable. Our scans can barely penetrate it." "Could it be a weapon?" asked Threm bluntly. "Any sufficiently advanced ship can be weaponized," Vexor replied carefully. "But its approach vector and speed suggest observation rather than aggression. They want to be seen now, which means they've likely been unseen before." High Counselor Trev's hologram nodded. "Your diplomatic vessel has been prepared. You'll rendezvous with a small security detail at Vega Gateway. Make contact, assess their intentions, and report directly to this council." "And if their intentions are hostile?" Vexor asked. A heavy silence fell over the chamber before Trev responded. Then the security detail will ensure that the Alliance receives warning before it's too late. Vexor understood the unspoken order. If diplomacy failed, he was not expected to return. The journey to Vega Gateway took 3 rotations. Vexor spent the time studying everything they knew about the approaching vessel, which wasn't much. It maintained a consistent speed. It had adjusted course twice, each time with perfect precision. It had neither responded to nor initiated communications. "We're approaching the intercept coordinates, Commander," announced Captain Loris, who commanded both Vexor's diplomatic vessel and the 3 small escort ships that accompanied them. The Arthurian's mandibles clicked with tension. "Thank you, Captain. Position us at the arranged coordinates and power down all weapons systems. I want our posture to be clearly non-aggressive. With respect, Commander, that leaves us vulnerable." Vexor turned his large, multifaceted eyes toward the captain. "If their technology is as advanced as we believe, we're already vulnerable. Our best defense is diplomacy." Loris didn't look convinced, but she gave the orders. The 4 Alliance vessels assumed their positions and waited. They didn't wait long. The unknown ship appeared precisely on schedule, decelerating with impossible smoothness until it hung in space 5,000 kilometers from their position. Now that they could see it clearly, the vessel was even more impressive than the scans had suggested. It was roughly cylindrical, but with angular sections along its length, giving it a distinctive silhouette unlike any Alliance design. Its hull was dark gray with minimal markings, a series of symbols near what appeared to be the command section, and a larger insignia on the side that might have been a flag or emblem. "It's massive," whispered Loris. "At least twice the size of our largest dreadnoughts. Open a general broadcast channel," Vexor instructed. "All standard greeting protocols, all known frequencies." The communications officer complied, sending the carefully crafted first contact message developed by Alliance linguists centuries ago. A series of mathematical sequences followed by basic symbolic representations designed to establish a foundation for communication. For several tense minutes, there was no response. Then, suddenly, all of their communication systems activated simultaneously. "Greetings, representatives of the Galactic Alliance. This is Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth vessel Pathfinder. We come in peace and request dialogue." The bridge crew froze in shock. The message had come through in perfect standard Alliance language, the common tongue used across all 17 member worlds. They speak our language," stammered the communications officer. "Apparently so," Vexor replied, keeping his voice calm despite his surprise. "Prepare a response." Before he could dictate his message, another transmission came through. "Commander Vexor, we specifically request your presence for initial discussions. We are prepared to send a shuttle to your vessel, or welcome you aboard ours, at your discretion." Now the shock on the bridge was palpable. "They know who you are," Loris said, her voice tight with suspicion. "So it seems," Vexor replied thoughtfully, "which suggests they've been observing us for some time." He straightened his robes and made a decision. "Inform them I will welcome their representatives aboard our vessel." "Is that wise, Commander?" Loris asked. "They already know who I am, Captain, and likely much more. Let's see what else they know, and why they've chosen now to reveal themselves." The human shuttle was small and elegant, crossing the distance between the ships in minutes. It docked with precision, and moments later, Vexor stood in the reception chamber as the airlock cycled open. He had studied the available xenobiology files on potential sentient configurations, but wasn't entirely prepared for what emerged. The humans were bipedal, with a generally symmetrical form not dissimilar to several Alliance species. There were 3 of them, 2 larger figures flanking the slightly smaller central one. All wore similar dark uniforms with subtle insignia. The central figure stepped forward. "Commander Vexor, I presume. I am Captain Elena Reyes." Her voice was clear and confident, her face expressing what Vexor interpreted as respectful interest. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. Vexor performed the traditional diplomatic greeting gesture of his people, a sweeping motion with his upper limbs. Captain Rise, I welcome you aboard. Your knowledge of our language is impressive. The human's mouth curved upward slightly. A smile, Vexor would later learn. We've had time to study it, along with much else about the Alliance. So it seems, yet we know nothing of you or your species. That was intentional, Rise replied. We've been observing the galactic community for some time, assessing whether to make contact. And what prompted you to reveal yourselves now? Vexor asked. The human captain's expression grew serious. Necessity, Commander. We've detected something approaching Alliance space, something that poses a threat to both our civilizations. We came to offer warning and assistance. Vexor studied the human carefully. That's quite a claim, Captain, especially from a completely unknown species possessing technology clearly superior to our own. I understand your skepticism, Rise acknowledged. In your position, I would feel the same, which is why I'm prepared to share our data with you immediately and invite you to visit our vessel to verify it yourself. The Alliance Council will need more than data before they trust the word of strangers who have been secretly observing us. Captain Rise nodded. Of course, and we're prepared to provide that trust-building evidence. But time is a factor, Commander. The threat we've detected will reach Alliance space within 1 standard year. And what exactly is this threat? The human captain's eyes, remarkably similar to some aquatic Alliance species, met his directly. We call them the Void. They're not like us. Not like you either. They don't build or create. They consume. Energy, matter, life, everything. Despite himself, Vexor felt a chill pass through his aquatic nervous system. These are extraordinary claims, Captain. I know, she replied simply. That's why I'm inviting you to see the evidence yourself. Aboard the Pathfinder. Vexor knew that accepting such an invitation was beyond his authorized parameters. Protocol demanded he consult with the Council first, but something in the human's directness convinced him that conventional protocol might not serve in this unconventional situation. Very well, Captain. I will accompany you to your vessel. But I must insist that Captain Lores be informed of my whereabouts and that I maintain constant communication. Of course, Rise agreed immediately. We anticipated that requirement. In fact, we welcome it. The more eyes that verify what we're about to show you, the better. As they returned to the human shuttle, Vexor found himself feeling something unexpected, a sense of anticipation rather than dread. Whatever these humans wanted to show him, he suspected it would change the galaxy forever. The warning, shared horizon. The shuttle journey to the Pathfinder took mere minutes, but for Commander Vexor, it was a transit between worlds, not just physically, but conceptually. As they approached the massive human vessel, he gained a new appreciation for its size and design. Unlike the organic curves favored by most Alliance architects, the human ship featured bold angles and deliberate asymmetry that somehow conveyed both strength and elegance. Impressive, isn't it? Commented Lieutenant Commander Sato, one of the 2 officers accompanying Captain Reyes. The Pathfinder is our newest deep space exploration vessel. Exploration? Vexor questioned. Your ship's configuration suggests significant defensive capabilities. Where we explore, we often need them, Rise replied matter-of-factly as the shuttle slid into a docking bay, several times larger than the entirety of Vexor's diplomatic vessel. The interior of the human ship was equally striking. Bright, spacious corridors with an efficient design that still managed to incorporate aesthetic elements. Vexor noticed that the environment had been adjusted to match the atmospheric conditions of his own vessel, a thoughtful accommodation that further suggested extensive study of Alliance physiology. Our research center is this way, Rise explained, leading him through several security checkpoints where human personnel regarded him with undisguised curiosity. What we're about to show you represents decades of observation and analysis. The research center was a large, circular chamber dominated by a holographic projection system more advanced than anything Vexor had seen in Alliance technology. Several humans in different uniforms worked at various stations around the perimeter. "Director Chen," Rice called. "Our guest has arrived." An older human approached, eyes sharp with intelligence. "Commander Vexor, welcome aboard. I'm Dr. Helena Chen, Director of Center Research. I've studied your species and culture for many years." "Without our knowledge," Vexor observed neutrally. Dr. Chen had the grace to look slightly uncomfortable. "Yes, that decision was made at the highest levels of our government. We needed to understand the galactic community before revealing ourselves." "And what did you learn from this observation?" "That the Alliance is a remarkable achievement," Chen replied sincerely. 17 distinct species coordinating peacefully across hundreds of worlds. It's unprecedented in our experience. Yet you chose not to join our community. "Not until we understood it," Rise interjected, "and not until we were certain we could contribute meaningfully to it." Vexor's inner eyelids flickered, the Selenian equivalent of raised eyebrows. "And now you believe you can." "Now we know we must," Chen said gravely. "Director, please show the commander what we've discovered." Chen nodded and activated the central holographic system. The lights dimmed as a three-dimensional map of the galaxy materialized before them, with Alliance territory clearly marked. Beyond it, at the edge of the map, a strange darkness appeared, not the emptiness of space, but something that seemed to absorb the light around it. 3 years ago, our long-range detection systems identified this anomaly at the edge of the Sagittarius arm, Chen explained. "At first, we thought it was an instrument error. Then we thought it might be a previously unknown cosmic phenomenon, a specialized type of dark matter concentration, perhaps. But it was moving," Rise continued, "slowly at first, but with increasing velocity, and it was growing." Chen manipulated the display, and the view shifted to show sensor readings Vexor couldn't entirely interpret, energy spectrums, and quantum measurements beyond Alliance science. "What exactly am I looking at?" he asked. "The boundary between normal space and what we call void space," Chen explained. "The void doesn't obey the physical laws as we understand them. It consumes them." "You're describing a natural phenomenon," Vexor suggested. "Perhaps a dangerous one, but hardly something requiring first contact between our civilizations." Rise and Chen exchanged glances. "Show him the Centauri recordings," Rise ordered quietly. The hologram shifted again, now displaying what appeared to be sensor logs from a human outpost. Vexor watched in growing horror as the darkness approached a small planetary system, then seemed to flow around one of the outer planets. Where it passed, nothing remained. Not fragments, not energy signatures, simply absence. "That was a research outpost with 63 personnel," Rice said softly. "No distress call, no debris. They were simply gone, along with the entire planetoid." Vexor felt his respiratory membranes constrict. "And you believe this void is headed toward Alliance space?" "We've tracked its trajectory," Chen confirmed. "It will reach the Pelorian system first, in approximately 11 standard months." The Pelorian system, 3 inhabited worlds with a combined population of 9 billion. Vexor steadied himself. "If what you're showing me is accurate." "It is," Rise interrupted firmly. "Then why approach us now? Why not when you first detected this threat?" "We needed to be certain," Chen explained. "And we needed to develop potential countermeasures before raising an alarm that could cause panic across 17 worlds." "You have countermeasures against something that consumes planets." "Theoretical ones," Rise admitted, "but they require resources and coordination beyond what Earth can provide alone." Now Vexor understood. "You need the Alliance. And the Alliance needs us," Rise stated simply. "Your civilization has achieved remarkable social harmony, Commander, but technologically, you're a century behind Earth in key areas, particularly in quantum physics and dark energy manipulation, which our models suggest are crucial to containing the void. The bluntness of the assessment would have offended many Alliance officials, but Vexor appreciated honesty over diplomatic niceties in a crisis. You realize the Council will require verification of everything you've shown me. Of course, Chen nodded. We've prepared comprehensive data packages for your scientists, and we're prepared to escort Alliance research vessels to observe the void from a safe distance. Assuming the Council believes you. That, said Reyes with a hint of a smile, is where you come in, Commander. Your reputation for integrity is well known. If you vouch for what you've seen here, it will carry considerable weight. Vexor considered this. You've studied us very thoroughly. We needed to know who to trust, Reyes replied simply. Before Vexor could respond, an alert sounded, and a human officer approached Captain Reyes urgently. Captain, we're detecting Alliance military vessels entering the system. 7 heavy cruisers. Approach vector suggests combat formation. Reyes frowned. It seems your Council is less trusting than you, Commander. Vexor wasn't surprised. I've been aboard your vessel longer than my scheduled check-in. Protocol dictates a response. The human captain nodded to her communications officer. Open a channel to the Alliance vessels. Let them know Commander Vexor is safe and will be returning shortly. And if they demand my immediate return, Vexor asked. Then you will be returned immediately, Reyes answered without hesitation. We did not reveal ourselves to start a conflict, Commander. The next hour was tense. The Alliance flotilla maintained its position, while Vexor spoke with Admiral Kresh, assuring him of his safety and requesting time to complete the diplomatic exchange. To his surprise, the Admiral granted his request, though the ships remained on high alert. Your military is cautious, Reyes observed as they returned to the research center. Wouldn't yours be, faced with an unknown vessel of superior technology? Vexor countered. Fair point, she conceded. But time is short, Commander. We need to establish trust quickly if we're going to prepare for what's coming. Then show me something that will convince the Council beyond doubt, Vexor challenged. Something that can't be dismissed as fabricated data or misinterpreted readings. Captain Reyes studied him for a moment, then appeared to make a decision. Dr. Chen, prepare the void particle containment demonstration. Chen looked surprised. Captain, that technology is classified at the highest. I'm aware, Doctor, but the Commander is right. We need to provide irrefutable evidence. What followed astonished Vexor beyond anything he had imagined. In a specialized laboratory deep within the Pathfinder, the humans demonstrated technology that shouldn't have been possible. A containment field holding what they called a void particle, a fragment of the larger phenomenon that had somehow been captured and isolated for study. Even in its contained state, the particle defied normal physics. Instruments placed near it registered impossible readings. Matter introduced to the containment field didn't burn or disintegrate. It simply ceased to exist at the subatomic level. We believe the void operates by breaking down the fundamental forces that bind matter together, Chen explained as Vexor stared at the containment field. It doesn't destroy in the conventional sense. It unmakes. And you believe you can stop this? Vexor asked, unable to keep the disbelief from his voice. Not stop it, Reyes corrected. Contain it. Redirect it. But only with a coordinated effort using technology that combines our knowledge of quantum mechanics with the Alliance's expertise in large-scale energy projection. Vexor finally turned away from the demonstration. I will need to take this evidence to the Council immediately. Of course, Reyes agreed. We've prepared everything for your review. But Commander, when you speak to your Council, make them understand something crucial. Earth could have chosen isolation. We could have developed our defenses alone and left the Alliance to discover the void too late. We chose otherwise. Why? Vexor asked simply. Why risk sharing your advanced technology with species you've never formally met? Captain Rice's expression became solemn. Because some threats transcend boundaries, Commander. Because despite our differences, we share this galaxy. And because humanity has learned, through our own difficult history, That survival often depends on cooperation. Hours later, as Vexor's shuttle returned him to his vessel, he reflected on what he had seen. The evidence was compelling, the threat existential, and the humans' willingness to share their technology appeared genuine. But something else lingered in his thoughts, something in Captain Rice's final words. These humans, for all their technological prowess, had sought out the Alliance not from a position of weakness, but from a recognition that diversity of perspective offered strength. They had studied the Alliance thoroughly, yet still chose engagement over isolation. As he prepared his report for the Council, Vexor found himself oddly hopeful. If the Alliance and humanity could overcome their mutual suspicion to face this threat together, perhaps something remarkable might emerge from the darkness approaching them. His final recommendation to the Council was clear and unequivocal. The threat is real. The humans appear trustworthy. And we need each other to survive what's coming. 3 days later, the Pathfinder received an official communication from the Alliance Council, requesting a formal diplomatic delegation to discuss joint operations against the approaching void. As Captain Rice read the message, a slight smile formed on her lips. "It begins," she said softly to her bridge crew. "Send word to Earth. Operation Shared Horizon is approved." Lieutenant Commander Sado nodded in acknowledgement. "Do you think they're ready for what comes next, Captain? The technological sharing, the military coordination." Captain Rice gazed at the viewscreen displaying the assembled Alliance vessels, now positioned alongside the Pathfinder in a gesture of solidarity rather than suspicion. "They will be," she said with quiet confidence, "because they must be."